Well, that was an interesting exhibition game. Really looking forward to the season. All I can say, guys, before we start the show is there anybody better than Paige? That was a fantastic performance from her, and it really shows what she's all about, what this basketball team's all about. Special live edition of Locked on UConn. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Let's go.
You are Locked on UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked on UConn your first listen every day. Special live edition of Locked on UConn reaction show to the UConn Women's 89-49 exhibition win over Fort Hays State. It's a Division II school. Listen, I thought it was a great game. And I will say from the start, we had the starters that were announced. I asked Emily last week, who's our contributor from the Hartford Courant, Emily Adams. If you don't know her, please go check out her stuff. Who was going to start? What was this rotation going to look like? And I really didn't even want to take a stab at it because I wanted to see this exhibition game first before I gave my thoughts. But obviously when the game started, you had, and by the way, when the game started, if you're like me and you're not local, although I do feel like some people who weren't at the game had the same situation. So if you're in the chat, let me know. If you weren't local to UConn, to Connecticut, I only had audio for the first, I would say, 7 minutes of the game. The starters were Paige Bueckers, Ashlyn Shade, Caitlin Chen, Sarah Strong, Ice Brady. To be expected. I think that's where most people thought they were at. Let's look at some of the comments here. The douche is locked on, huh? Oh. I said this the other day, that the comments that I get when I cover the women's team versus the men's team, it's always worse on the men's side, on the women's side. I don't know, guys. I have no idea. I don't know who this guy is, but what was great about it? Same problems as last year exist. What was great about it was we're back watching college basketball. And I don't have the same outlook as everybody that's woe is me about this team. Paige Bueckers is the must-see TV, not only from a performance standpoint, but from a play standpoint. Like she is phenomenal on the court. She exudes confidence whenever the team is around her. Whenever she's on the court, she plays well. And there were times where she wasn't on the court. She only played 27 minutes where this team looked better than what it looked like without her last year. If you still only 9 players. Do you really think that there's going to be more than 9 players that play this year, Jason? Like, seriously. The people who say this, I really don't think you know how coaches deal with their rotations. The best teams in college basketball, women or men, they have a 7 to 9 man rotation. It's not 5 or 6 like last year, which sucked, but it's usually 9 deep. So, sorry. Say I hate to burst your bubble. Chris. Oh, wow. Okay. Listen, man, I'm not going to spend the entire live reaction show responding to 2 douchebags that are going to just complain about an exhibition game that they won by 40 points. But let's get into it. Paige Bueckers, outstanding performance, putting up 1 point a minute, essentially 27 points for 27 minutes. She started 8 of 8. She finished 12 of 18. She was 3 of 6 from three-point land. Her 9 rebounds and 5 assists showed that she was active across the court, contributing significantly on both ends. Her time on the floor highlights her role as a leader and primary scorer for UConn. Obviously, these are all things that are true, but I thought a couple things were really that stood out. And we'll get into Ashlyn and Sarah's contribution to the game. But outside of her being phenomenal, Paige, I think we saw what needs to happen for the rest of this team to get up to speed. And this is why it's Paige and who's going to come along for the ride. I think there were flashes with Caitlin, the flashes with Ashlyn, and definitely with Sarah. Sarah is going to give a great element to this team. You can tell when they put her out on top on the high post, the spacing that it adds, the ability to go high-low on certain aspects. I feel like that's going to elevate this team for the most part on when they play tougher teams, because you can't not guard Sarah because she can hit the 3. So when people press her, she can dump it down low to Jana. who honestly looked not great tonight, but again, baby steps. This team is not going to look the same right now as it will in January, and as it will in February, and as it will in March. Ashlyn showed that she can create a little bit outside of just being a catch and shoot player. I think we're obviously getting some players back from injury that aren't there right now. There was some great ball movement in the third quarter. I think that you really have to start to wonder about where this team is right now and where it's going to be in the future. So let's go back to some of the numbers. If you look at Ashlyn, she played 32 minutes. She had 15 points. She was 6'11 from the field. I thought she played well on the defensive side. She had 5 rebounds. She had a couple steals. She's playing a well-rounded game. I really do think that Ashlyn could potentially be a UConn great if she continues to make these leaps one after the other. A lot of people have said you don't talk about her enough. Well, I haven't seen her play in a year. So I think part of it is just kind of getting back to watching them play and really seeing these contributions up close. I thought Ice played okay. I thought she was efficient, 5 of 8 from the floor. She's one of my favorite players. She hit her only 3-point attempt, which I think is very encouraging to kind of help with confidence. Lower on the rebounding side, I thought they were all, as a team, I thought the team rebounded poorly. They let a team that's, Division II team that's scrappy, get some offensive rebounds that probably they shouldn't have. I'm sorry. It's hard to continue to do the show when I see the chat going crazy. And like when I make a comment, people tell you that you're crazy and whatnot, but I'll move on. Honestly, I think my biggest issues is the depth and rotational flexibility. I think that the team has more of that this year, but I think people are going to have to be patient, guys. This isn't about we're a UConn and it's championship or bust. The expectations that Gino has put on this team by being so good at what he does and what this team has done over the last 40 years has made people a little insane. I mean, I'll just be honest. The bottom line for me is this team is going to be a very good basketball team. Is it right now? I don't think you could say that about anybody right now. Wherever you rank a team this year, right this second, on November 3rd, isn't where they're going to be on April 8th or 9th. It just won't be. And anybody that tells you that they can do that is insane. Let's look at some of the comments, some of the sane comments. All right. Well, first off, Chris, you're absolutely wrong on this. Ice Brady does not stink. She was 5 of 6 from the floor. She didn't rebound well, but I mean, I disagree with you like wholeheartedly. First off, Jana Alfie is going to be a phenomenal player, but she goes too fast right now. She is like a hot potato. When she gets the ball, she makes like 3 moves. I think Gino said this perfectly in his media availability, which is that she's trying to make up for almost 2 years of inactivity on every play. So as soon as she starts to kind of relax and calm down a little bit, she's going to be a phenomenal player for them. 6'5", she can run the floor. She didn't even show that she can shoot the 3 today. She's going to stretch the floor, give spacing for them, for their players that can score at every level. So I just totally disagree. This one I do agree with, Chris. Even though I think you're a little crazy. Crazy people make good points every once in a while. That is offensive, so we're going to take that off. Yeah, I love Caitlin Chen. I thought she was fantastic. You can tell that she really, has a feel for the game. I definitely feel like, though, she's going to have to learn that, when she plays against better competition, because let's face it, Fort Hays State isn't it. When she drives to the basket at 5'9", the shots that she made in the Ivy League aren't going to be the same that fall against some of the tougher competition that UConn's going to play this year. And the Big East is going to provide that, but also the out-of-conference games. Let's see. Let's see some of the other contributions to the chat other than Chris D. And if that's all it is, I'll just go back to what my other stuff. Yeah. Love the way she hustles, man. I think Ashlyn is going to be a fantastic player. Brian, I agree with you, man. I really think the story here is Sarah Strong, because to me, Sarah provides the type of star quality that this team has lacked outside of Paige. And you can tell that she's like just getting comfortable with the offense, just getting comfortable with how she can contribute offensively and defensively. And you can also tell that her feel for the game on high-low, when it's her and Ice Brady, a nice little exchange in the third quarter. I think that's going to be a nice little game that she plays, whether she's playing with her or she's playing with Jana, is really going to elevate UConn from that perspective. Take a quick sip here. It was a well-balanced game. I don't think you can really take too much from an exhibition game. Same thing that I said with the UConn men. Everyone expects to look the exact same as you did last year. This team was in the Final Four last year. We're a couple possessions away from playing for a national championship. I don't think that you can say that we are terrible or that this person stinks or whatever based off of one exhibition game where the kids were playing hard, but the bottom line is it's not the beginning of the year yet. This game does not count for everybody that's freaking out about it. Although it looks like only one person is in the chat. It is what it is. Let's see. I was a little disappointed in Ali Zabal, although I love that she shot 10 threes, because you know what? She's a great shooter. Shoot. Please don't at me on that. I could care less. She could go 2 of 20. If she's open, shoot the rock. She will make more than she misses. She's a fantastic shooter. I think the willingness to shoot really shows that there's confidence there, that Gino has instilled that in her. And I am so solidly wanting her to continue to shoot, because I think she's going to be a huge contributor to this team. I think there's also there's a willingness on this team to hit the open three, because they didn't care. Like there was multiple options. They had a nice run in the third quarter where they really kind of stretched away from Fort Hayes. And you could tell with that good ball movement that this team is literally going to bludgeon people with three-pointers. And honestly, eventually it's going to be really difficult for teams to not come out on them. And what's that going to provide? More interior opportunities for Sarah, for Ice, for Jana. There's absolutely the sky's the limit for this team. And I think that the idea that this team doesn't have the depth that people are worried about, as long as that, even if nobody else, if we don't lose anybody else, if it's just the folks that need to come back this year, AZ, Aubrey, Caroline, whether Caroline comes back, if those are the only people that we need to return. I know KK didn't play. I know that there's some folks that are worried about Ayanna Patterson, but 8 or 9 healthy players on a team full of McDonald's All-Americans with one of the best coaches, if not the best coach to ever coach the game, I think we're going to be fine. Let's go back to some of the chat. I think Gino needs to get hungrier. Too soft in his old age. He's not as fiery as Hurley Dawn. Okay. All right, Andrea. I don't think Zybel and Q have a role with AZ and KK come back. But they do now. What does that matter? You play a role on a team, and you do it until it's not needed anymore. The term role player is so overhyped, it cracks me up. You know what Paige's role is? Be a star. That's her role. Ashlyn is essentially her right hand right now. Say the same thing about Caitlin. To penetrate, to not do too much, to do what she needs to do. Ice Brady, her role is rebounding. Her role is getting buckets around the basket, shoot a three every once in a while. Everyone has a role. And right now, roles will be defined. And as the season goes on, roles will continue to change. There's just no other explanation to that. And I don't think that you can look at the season any other way. And if Zabal and Quaintance don't have those same roles when AZ and KK come back, they're going to have to be ready for the times that, that come in. So no, it's not imminent, unfortunately. I already walked that back a million years ago. You can make fun of me for it, but at least I owned it. Unlike some people that, don't own when they make a mistake. So was given the wrong information, but I do feel like the Big 12 will happen at some point. And I'll be the first one to say, Andrea, I love you. Very good game for the coaches to see various combinations. Thank you, Yolanda. Can we get some positivity up in this chat? I swear to God, some people on here need to go touch grass. It's a beautiful day out. I think I saw it was like 55 degrees in Connecticut for most of the state. Go have some fun. Just please. The game was great. We're going to be in fantastic shape this season. Sarah Strong is going to be phenomenal. Paige started the game and looked like she couldn't miss. Okay? Ashlyn Shade looked like she made a jump in terms of being a more creative player, not just being a catch and shoot gal, not just being someone that can take someone off the dribble. She literally went left and rose up over a girl and shot an elbow jumper and nailed it. Didn't see that much of last year other than when it was a blowout. So I just feel like she is going to, she has that confidence that she can potentially take that next step. Then you add KK, then you add AZ. Jana is going to settle into her role. Caitlin Chen is going to be a calming force for this team. You can just tell when her and Paige are on the floor together, the offense runs incredibly smooth. It was a sloppy game. It was also an exhibition game. So, yeah, but that's a whole season away, Andrea. A whole season. We're 0-0, okay? So as soon as this goes to the year, I'll be at that South Carolina game. 1,000% I'll be there. And I'll report back to you and tell you if we've improved from game 1 or game 0, essentially, to then. Because South Carolina, as good as they are, they don't have the behemoths that they had last year. They have good players, but they have to do it again and prove it. We'll see if Dawn Staley can do that again. I'm not sure she can. I think they're the team to beat, but we'll see what happens. 1,000%. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to go enjoy my Sunday. I thought it was a fantastic first step for this team. If you don't like my outlook, engage with me one way or the other. I'm happy to debate you, but the bottom line is this wasn't pretty. It wasn't awful. It was kind of in the middle. And that's what exhibition games are for. Bye, Andrea. I love you. I think I know who that is on Twitter. Peace.